Okay, good morning, ladies and gentlemen. As you already know, as I always state as usual, I always keep my signature lingering somewhere in the background, my Dunkin' Donuts coffee. Okay, right now I'm taking a little break. Right now in the shop, like I was showing yesterday, getting to some work. As you can see, got things all over the place right now. Okay, there's a lot, going on. So, been doing a lot of moving, still in the shop working, getting to it. Okay. But this morning, what I want to do is I want to give a little demonstration to those, who either own the U.S. General 5-drawer tool cart, or if you are looking to decide to pick one up, okay, and if you're interested in the item. Um, there's some things that I basically want to explain in this video. I kind of had the 5-drawer and 4-drawer tool cart for a little bit of time, and they have held up very well in a professional setting in a professional shop. When I first obtained these carts, uh, what it was is when I went to Harbor Freight, I wound up catching both of the carts, for a decent, reasonable price on a humble. Um, and if I was to do it all over again, as if I never had them and I had the ideas for the cart that I have now, I possibly would have did the modifications a long time ago. At the prior moment, I'm not at my storage, to give you the visual cart, but I am gonna do a couple of demonstrations when it comes to adding the side locker. There was a comment made by a gentleman named Randy K. So I'm gonna throw this up in response to his comment. And what he was basically asking is if you were to decide to modify the cart and add on the side locker, um, would it be unstable or too heavy, or would it tip over? Okay, there's going to be some things that I'm going to point out about that. Um, Not for nothing, when I first purchased the cart, um, I never seen assembly videos or anything like that. I was completely unaware to the whole YouTube tool community and things like that. I have a mechanical background, so when I basically first purchased the carts, I took a quick look at the instructions. I took a look at the assemblies as far as the hardware that came in the box, and it didn't take a genius to really figure it out how to basically put it together. In my application, when I did assemble the carts, I didn't use ratchets and sockets and ratchet and wrenches like most other people use. I actually used a 20-volt impact gun. And in I think not the last video that I did, but the video before last, I was showing a 1/4 inch hex right angle adapter. Okay, is what I use to basically get in the corners to um, tighten down the bolts and the hardware on the inside in the hard to get areas. So that's how that was done with an impact wrench, if you were wondering. Okay. When I first assembled it, I started just as well as anybody else with starting at the bottom and attaching the casters. And like I said, I used the impact wrench. So when I finally got the cart all completely assembled, the cart is extremely, extremely sturdy, okay? Because the impact gun that I was using, it has a lot of kick and a lot of force. So things was talked down extremely tight. There's no wobble or no play in my carts, neither the 5 or the 4 drawer that I used to own. Okay, so when it comes to modifying the cart and adding the side locker as a extra storage addition, okay, this is my solutions and my ideas that was never utilized for the side locker, due to the fact that I actually need more storage space. Like, the side locker is really not much of a benefit to me at this prior time anymore. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to get out some things and I'm going to line up some things side by side, so that if you do own the 5-drawer tool cart, because the side cabinet I don't believe is more fit for the 4-drawer. It's mainly more fit for the 5-drawer, even though it's not an actual assembly that is really supposed to be compatible for the 5-drawer tool cart. Is actually compatible for another US General design chest, I believe. Okay, so I'm gonna get these items out real quick, and I'm gonna line some things side by side. So I just want you to take notice to this video if you have any questions or your curiosity as far as adding on the side locker. Okay. Okay, in this video, I don't want nobody to kill me in the comments due to the fact that, I'm not using the original US General tool carts. But as you can see, I do have 2 service trays here in the shop in order to do this demonstration, just to give you a visual idea of what I want to explain. Okay. This cart here that you see right here, right? Just hypothetically speaking, say this was the 5-drawer US General tool cart, okay? On my US General tool cart, how you see the handle to this side of the cart, I actually have my handle to this side of the cart, okay? And I have my tray accessible on this side with a tablet holder due to the diagnostic purposes. I am right-handed, I'm not left-handed, okay? Now, as you can see, the handle is basically to the outside of this cart, which would be the 5-drawer US General tool cart, okay? So just hypothetically speaking, say you wanted to add the side locker, okay, on this side. And as you would see, right, the side cabinet doesn't come with casters, okay? So what you would have to do to the far right is put swivel casters, okay, here, so that once it's connected to the cart, now the side locker can hold its stability. Now, the US General 5-drawer tool cart comes with 2 swivel locking casters over to this side, or whether to this side, depending upon how you assembled it and which side you either assembled the handle or basically the side tray, okay? But as you can see over here, the handle is to this side, okay? So you would basically have locking casters here, then you would have swivel casters here, okay? Then when mounting the cabinet, you would also have swivel casters of the same size, same OEMs, okay, so that it holds the stability. Now you are able to move the cart and the cabinet simultaneously at the same time, basically without no problem, and be able to maneuver around, and you shouldn't have any issues. And the cart and the cabinet should be able to sit upright no matter how much weight is basically in the cart and the cabinet. And with the locking casters to this side, you will still be able to lock the casters in place and keep everything stationary, okay? Now, to give a even more of a better visual, just hypothetically speaking, say you did want to connect the side locker and the tool cart together, and say you never have any intentions of moving the cart and the side cabinet around, and you was always keeping it stationary against the wall. You don't have no intentions of moving it from one place to another, okay? Then another solution would be is to have locking casters on one side, keep the fixed casters in the center, okay? And either keep fixed casters to the opposite side of the cabinet, or you can put universal swivel casters to the side. even though the universal swivel casters wouldn't mean much due to the fact that you have the fixed casters in the center of the cart. The fixed casters is to definitely keep um, the attachment of the cabinet where it's connected to the cart a whole lot much more stable, okay? Because the swivel casters that are non-locking will move around, okay? The fixed casters won't move anywhere because they're directioned in one particular angle, which allows the cart not to be able to spin. Only the swivel casters allow you that type function, okay? So this is just to basically give you a better understanding. Um, there's some people who decide to add the side locker, and a lot of times where they find out is that things don't line up properly. The reason why it's not lining up properly is because they're not using the same size OEM casters. If they were using the same size OEM casters, then it would actually line up correctly to the cart. Now, in some videos, I have noticed where people added the side locker, but they never thought to put the casters. So what happens is that the side locker is suspended in an air without any casters or any support underneath. Okay, so they would run into more issues with trying to move the cart around, especially with weight. It would make more sense for the cart and the cabinet to walk on an individual when trying to move it, due to the fact that there's no stability or support underneath the cabinet itself. So that's the purpose of having the 6 casters instead of having 4 casters on a cart and not having no casters underneath the cabinet. Make sense? So, like I said, I don't have the US General 5-drawer tool cart in the shop, or I don't own the cabinet, because, like I said, the cabinet is really not a benefit to me, due to the smaller drawers. As far as smaller tools and smaller items, I don't necessarily have issues with things of that nature. I have more issues with more bigger equipment where it requires that I basically need more longer drawers. That's just the bottom line. Like, I had the tool carts, but at some particular point in time, depending upon what type of work you do, what type of equipment you obtain, you're gonna basically run out of space. The tool carts and the service carts is only designed to keep basically your most used and primary tools to move around in the shop and get to the work fast and efficiently. And for what reason why you have a bigger storage is to have all your special equipment and things like blow molded cases and specialized equipment stationary in one area, because those are tools and equipment that is not used on a regular daily basis. But I won't say that it's not necessarily used on a daily basis. It's just dependent upon the applications and how many different type vehicles you work on and what is required when the time presents itself. Okay. So once again, like I said, it's all dependent upon which side you station the handle on when you assemble the card, and where you actually have the locking casters. If you actually have the handle to this side and you have the locking casters to this side and the fixed casters on this side, then you would have to swap, okay, so that the handle is faced towards the outside and you have the locking casters here, okay. So, like I said, when adding the cabinet, you would have 6 casters all combined. Okay, it wouldn't make sense with the cabinet to have 8 casters, like as you see here. And for what reason? Why? Is because if you had um, 4 swivel casters side by side, when you're trying to move them, the wheels would interact with one another and allow it to move freely. So that's why you would only put the swivel casters here to that side, okay? And then put swivel casters on the 5-drawer tool cart on this side and keep the locking casters here. Make sense? Another thing that I was explaining, with the cordless tool holder, Lakes the Land and Dale Lucid, they put out the videos first on the Husky cordless tool organizer, which you can pick up at your local Home Depots for $20, or you can order it online. I think, when you get it from Home Depot with the taxes and all of that, if they don't initially have it in the store, yes, they state that it's like $20, but the shipping and all of that for it is kind of crazy, because then you wind up paying like $50 or something like that, or slightly underneath $50 for something that basically cost $20. Okay, so that's for what reason why I have actually purchased that item on eBay. And I was fortunate enough to catch it for like real cheap, because the individual who had it, who was selling it, I guess they purchased it and they were going to use it, and then I guess they decided that they weren't going to use it, and it was the only one that was for sale. It's not like they had a lot of them, or a variety like their uh, a real true online store. So I actually paid dirt cheap for it. Okay. So once again, that's why I didn't pick that item up from Harbor Freight, and it was an item that once it was presented to me and the idea was presented to me, that's why I just basically purchased it off eBay. But once I actually got the item in my possession, then now I was capable of seeing what can be done with it and what couldn't be done with it. So like I was demonstrating in some of the videos, when I would be at the storage with the tool cart, I would show that, you know, one of the cordless tool holders can be located underneath the handle, which on my tool cart, the handle is basically on this side. So it would still be underneath the handle, because like I said, to this side, I have the side tray. And then towards the back of the cart, okay, behind the lid, I would have two different cordless tool organizers that will be able to mount 6 different guns on the back. Okay, the tool holder that I will have to this side will be the pneumatic air tools. Okay, the 3 Ingersolls that I have, because one of my Ingersolls I'm gonna wind up discarding, my 3/8 stubby. I'm not really gonna keep it that long. That's an item that technically I can alleviate from my selection of tools, because it's something that's used less. I actually have 2 3/8 drives, but I'm gonna be able to put 6 cordless towards the back. And as you can see in the cordless tool holders, they only hold 3 impacts. When it comes to my most biggest gun, which is the Milwaukee 1/2 inch high torque, that will not be able to fit in the tool holders, so that will still be stationary in the cart. Okay, I just wanted to throw this idea and this footage out real quick, for some people who are even deciding to remodify and add on the side locker, okay, or they still have the fixed casters, and they're wondering about the swivel casters. The hardware that comes on the OEMs, you can get the universal casters and just swap out the wheels. Okay. Another thing that I would like to mention is that throughout time, after you assemble the cabinet to the cart, and say you did put a lot of weight on the cart, okay, and throughout time of you moving it around, and just so to say, if you worked in a shop where the ground wasn't fully balanced and things like that, and you're always coming across hard surfaces um, with a lot of weight in the cart, at some particular point in time, depending upon how much you move it, the casters do have bearings in them, I believe. Okay, and you, at some particular time, you're gonna want to either swap them. It's less expensive to swap the casters and replace the casters than actually replacing a whole unit, a whole entire cart, or a whole entire cabinet. Okay, so it's good to make sure that those things are greased after a while, especially if you're in a shop and there's different type of elements and moisture and so on and so forth. Okay, so that's just basically what that is. Until later on when I get the time and I'm in the storage, um I'm gonna get back to some content as far as what's in there, and do a couple of more tool comparisons. um Also, I showed yesterday allows oil filter low profile socket set and a snap-on um, oil filter socket set. I want to come back to that a little bit in the video later on this evening. Um, because there's some other things that I want to point out that I did miss yesterday when I was recording the footage. I was just more enough randomly pulling out a couple of items just to do a comparison. Like I said, I don't edit any of these videos, or I don't pre-plan, what I'm about to show or what I'm about to say and things like that to the viewers. So that's another reason for why at times I get caught up in my speeches when I get to saying because technically, I'm not really thinking about everything, or nothing is pre-planned. Okay, I'm just going along with the flow. Like, I'm just randomly picking out something and just basically talking about it and demonstrating. I'm giving you the real live footage, like, as things are for what they are at that very prior moment. So I don't want people to get all confused and misled. Another thing that I want to put out there to mention, in my honest opinion, I'm just gonna say this right here. It doesn't necessarily mean whether you're a DIY, a technician, a mechanic. Some people want to go upon the titles of master technician and so on and so forth. Me personally, I feel like this: if you can turn a wrench, you're just as well fit as any other mechanic. Just because a person is a master technician, does that necessarily mean that they turn a wrench better than you, or a wrench faster than you, or more accurately than you? Like, I don't get it. You understand? Or because a mechanic knows how to operate a device, and they may have taken more time to dissect the features in a particular device, just so to say, as a scan tool. Okay, because you'll have technicians, that they are not really that well hands-on, with assembling and disassembling, which is basically more common sense with a lot of things, but they take more time with scan tools and know how to diagnose a problem and so on and so forth. But that's more about them getting a little bit more into their craft and spending more time with understanding the device and understanding the features in the device. But that doesn't necessarily make you better, you understand? Because there's people that I know out there who have years experience, and then I see some people who come in with less experience, who are more fit for the job, and they make less mistakes than a person who've actually been doing it for quite some time. So that's just my honest opinion, you know what I'm saying, when it comes to things like that. I do what I do. I don't look down on anybody, okay? I try to bring everybody up, in a positive way if I can. Okay, so until later, um when I get to the storage and I'm able to give you those different comparisons, like I said, I do want to touch back a little bit on the Laos and Snap-on set. I'm not going to spend too much time with it. I'm going to try to run through it as fast as possible, but I do want to touch back on that a little bit. And I did show a particular specialty socket. Um, this time I want to pull that out again and get a light so that the viewers can get a good look at the socket, because I'm still trying to figure out, who makes the socket and what the socket is basically designed for. I can tell that it's a socket that basically pulls something, and it's a 1/2 inch drive. Okay, the socket is not chrome vanadium, because I know how to pronounce chrome vanadium. It's actually made of something else that I was trying to show yesterday, but when I get my light out and you can see what it's actually saying on the socket, then maybe somebody out there, can give me an answer to See, that just goes to show you, each one teach one. Maybe somebody out there can teach me something, because I don't know it all. Okay, so basically, I'm gonna check you later when I get that time, and we in there. We gonna get to it. All right. So for right now, I'm about to get back into my Dunkin' Donuts, and I'm gonna let y'all enjoy the rest of y'all morning. Peace.